Hi, my name is Damascus, and this is Farlands, a series about video games and video game design. And today I want to talk about the HUD-Less design of Assassin's Creed 1. Until the release of Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 1 was my favorite of the series. But even Black Flag doesn't have what made the first game truly special. Neither did 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, 3, Unity, Rogue, or Syndicate. One can say, sure Stas, the first Assassin's Creed has interesting ideas, great atmosphere, story, and provided a base for the franchise. But it got repetitive and boring. Surely the rest of the series is a big improvement over it. Well, in a way yes, but in a way no. After all, nothing is true, everything is permitted. There is one amazing thing in the first Assassin's Creed that elevates the experience to a different level of immersion, and none of its sequels has it. I'm talking about HUD-Less design. The first Assassin's Creed, at least the console version, I'll talk about some missions introduced in the PC version later, was designed to be playable fully without any HUD elements. I'm talking no map, markers, icons, controls. The additional HUD in the game was clearly a late one, possibly based on some playtests. And while I can see why it makes sense to have a HUD, it also undermines the experience the game tried to build. To start illustrating my point, allow me to show a segment from the game, our first target in Acre and second target in the game, and how it completed without any HUD elements or map. So we start in Masyaf, which is the first settlement we get to explore, and the village is pretty easy to navigate around in. When you enter, you see the assassin fortress in the distance as the main landmark, which is where Al-Mualim will give you the target's names. And from the top of Masyaf, you can see the exit. So we get our target, is Garnier de Naplouse in Acre. First, of course, we leave Masyaf, take a horse, and ride on the only pathway available until we reach the next zone, the Kingdom, which is a hub between all cities. Don't open the map or GPS. How do you get to Acre? Well, it's quite simple actually. There's signs and intersections that show you where to go, just like, there'd be in real life. There's not really much to do in the kingdom other than travel around and look at the view, or collect flags and kill Templars if you're into this sort of thing. And the act of traveling is much more enjoyable when you actually pay attention to what's in your path. Eventually, you'll see some stone arches, which are elements that show the exit from the area you're in this case, from Kingdom to Acre. So we've reached Acre. Our goal is to get to the Assassin Bureau to learn more information about our target. First, of course, we need to get through the guarded gates of the city. As we approach, we hear cries for help. Audio design is an important part of the experience. Later, I'll show one of the biggest reasons why. Right now, however, there is a monk in trouble, and if we save him, we can get past the gates undetected while blending in a group of his brothers. We can also find an alternate way through via parkour. Regardless, we get into the city. Now, while our first main goal is to find the Assassin Bureau, as without being there we can't commence the assassination even if we learn everything about our targets, I would like to note that not far from the gates we see two guards talking. Now, characters talking in the middle of a street or plaza is actually not something you really see in Assassin's Creed on a regular basis. People gather near market stalls, heralds just walk around. Sometimes you can see a pair talking on the sidewalks and away from the path of others. But when it's happening in the middle or in some particular building, means those people have information useful for the mission. Now, this is an important part of HUD-Less design, to recognize visual patterns. You don't have mission icons, but you do have a view of the area. So you must notice things that feel off, outside of the pattern, not right. And this is one of the tools the developers use to do so. Those two soldiers in particular, they talk about a lovely guarded route inside the fortress where Garnier is located. Anyway, with that information learned, we still need to find the bureau. The city is pretty big, and even though it's our first time here, only one district is available for exploration, there's still a lot of area to just blindly stumble around in. Well, this is one of the reasons we have viewpoints. We can recognize them by two factors. A, they're well tall, and B, they have eagles flying above them. We climb one viewpoint, get a lay of the land. We see the other viewpoints and points of interest, and what we're looking for is a roof that has an assassin insignia on it. It's something that we learn in Damascus, where the Assassin's Bureau is easier to find. There's not one nearby. Let's go to another viewpoint not far. Nothing here as well. There's a fairly distinct broken tower in the distance. Perhaps that's the next place where I should go. Now, what happens as a side effect of this searching is that you get to subconsciously recognize and memorize noticeable places, landmarks. On the way to the tower, I noticed a church. I ran past a souk, pretty much most of which have similar looking roofs in the game. I see that not far from city gates of us there's a fortress, as well as locations that are blocked from me for the moment like the huge cathedral. You don't just walk around in the city, run around rooftops. You memorize it, maybe not in great detail, but enough. I got to the top of that broken tower, and from there I see it. The assassin insignia on a building with a roof entrance. That's where I need to go. I also, of course, have in my memory now that the Assassin's Bureau is near that broken tower. Inside, the Rafik tells me where I can find more information about the target.
The public gardens north of here, or what's left of them, are as good a place as any to begin. There's an abandoned market northwest as well that merits watching. And Maria of Jehoshaphat's church to the west remains a popular meeting place.
Conversations with the Rafiks tend to be on the longer side due to them telling some of the locations where you can find information. But when you don't have icons to show you where to go, they're important. That said, you don't really need Rafiks, as if you go to places that look landmarky enough, chances are you're going to find something. Still, it's useful and helpful information, especially when you just start to get in your way around the city. Since the church is to the west, I know where west and north are. I guess you could also use the sun as your indicator, but I personally suck at getting around based on the sun. I'm more of a landmark kind of person. So I decided to go check out north first, the public gardens. But I want to make a special note of heralds, one of which I've passed on the way. There's lots of them, and you hear them from quite some distance, and they talk about pretty much the same thing concerning the war effort and the Crusades.
Without our support, Richard and his men cannot hope to free the Holy Land.
Now, the same thing over and over again may seem uninspired, but it's actually fairly important. I'll get to in a bit why. I found my way to what looks like the public gardens. How do I find information, though? Well, that's where your eagle vision kicks in, which shows your enemies, targets, allies, and whoever has the information regarding your main target. That white glowing blob in the distance? That's our informant. Ironically enough, the quest that informant gives is actually to collect flags in a certain time limit, which is possibly the worst of the original console game side missions. It's completable HUD-Less, of course, as all flags are in certain path that starts near the informant, but it's tricky and easy to miss something. Not the best example for the purposes of my story, but it's half completed the sequence the last time I replayed it, and well, I didn't say that everything was perfect. The informant says where the hospitalier fortress is located and that Garnier is there. I think now it's time to visit the abandoned market, which I already know where it's located based on my improving knowledge of the city. I find a way in through the roof. In the market, I find two people talking right in the middle of it. Visual patterns, remember? They must know something. And as it turns out, they do. One of them has a ladder that I steal. It connects several of our targets together. Not really important for assassination of Garnier itself, but it's a part of the unraveling story. Now it's time to go to the church and see what we can find there. Here's where the knowledge about auditive patterns get in. As I approach, I hear not only somebody talking about the Crusades, but there's also a voice speaking in favor of Garnier specifically, our target.
Garnier de la Plus is a good man. He means only to help.
So, theoretically, you can just walk around the city and hear somebody speak about your target, and that's it. You know you need to go there. We can interrogate this person to learn more about an opportune moment to strike Garnier. Now, there are still investigation missions left, but this is enough for a Fig to give us a green light on the assassination mission. There is one more original mission type not mentioned here, that being stealth assassinating somebody for informants to give information. Targets are always in the locations that are near the informants, and you can use eagle vision to differentiate them. Anyway, we now know well our way to the bureau, so it doesn't take much trouble to get to it. In the conversation with the Rafik, Altair recaps all the necessary information in case we as a player forgot something.
He lives and works within the Order's hospital, northwest of here. Rumors speak of atrocities committed within its walls. It seems the good doctor enjoys experimenting on innocent citizens, most of them kidnapped and brought here from Jerusalem.
We go north until we see a building with a hospitaller insignia on it, so we know that this is the place. During investigations, we'll also get things like letters and maps with guard locations, and they are useful even without HUD. Because even if we don't look at the main city map, we still can get a feel of the building's shape and structure to know where we need to go to find a way in. When we get inside the fortress, we witness Garnier order to break legs of an asylum inmate who tried to escape.
You can't keep me here. I'll escape again.
No, you won't. Break his legs, both of them. I am so sorry, child.
After that scene, we can commence our assassination. We find Garnier inside the hospital, overlooking the patients, and kill him. In his dying confession, Garnier, like all other targets in the game, tells his side of the story, making Altair question if he really is an evil person.
They were madmen before I found and freed them from the prisons of their own minds. And with my death, madmen they will be again.
You truly believe you were helping them?
It's not what I believe. It's what I know.
Now that the target is dead, guards start chasing us. We quickly search for a way out, find a ladder up to some scaffoldings, and from there, jumping over chandeliers, parkour our way to a broken window that leads us out of the building. Okay, there's a bunch of people chasing us. Where are we? Where do we need to go? Oh, right! Broken towers right there! Landmark! Onwards! We need to break the line of sight and find a hiding spot in the way, though. One other thing that happens in HUD-Less mode is that since there's no social status indicator, you can't use it to know if you're being seen or not in a chase, and you can use hiding spots only if you're not being seen. Well, the game uses two things. The first one is an Animus glitch effect when states switch between being inside during a chase and being out of sight. The second one is music. It changes depending on the state. Also, since you don't have any blue markers showing any hiding spots, you must be much more mindful of your surroundings when running. Chases in Assassin's Creed 1 don't end until you hide or are very far away from the enemies. After we escape the guards, we get back to the bureau and show a fake proof that the deed is done. Garnier is dead, and we need to return to Al Mualim in Masya. The reason why I've told all this in such a detailed manner is so that everyone will get the feel of going through this game with absolutely no HUD. You get to learn the city, where everything is located. You get to listen, to look, to find discrepancies and patterns. You search, investigate, notice details. There is a market near the entrance to the Jewish quarter in the southern part of the city where you need to find information. Where's the Jewish quarter? You look around and see a synagogue in the distance with a Star of David on it. So you go in that direction and then see a gateway, so that's the entrance to the district. The market should be nearby. This is why Assassin's Creed 1 is built in a very clear cyclic manner, so you can get to learn and notice patterns and use them to your advantage. You're an assassin, you listen, you watch, you use your intuition. You reduce even just a minimum of icons, and all of that is gone. The cyclic pattern loses all its fails, which is why people get to consider the game boring after a while. They instantly know the destination of the journey, but don't go through all the process of finding it, which is what makes Assassin's Creed 1 so interesting. Is it perfect? No. There are many ways it could be improved. Sometimes people name locations as if you know what they must look like. The game doesn't have encyclopedia like its successors.
He's to hold a meeting soon, at the Madrasa al-Qalasa. It's where I'll go. It's where I'll take his life.
Sometimes missions are placed very weirdly near landmarks, which makes it tricky to find them. The most important flaw, though, is that it's not inclusive. If you have problems with spatial recognition, navigation in urban environments, hearing even, Assassin's Creed 1 in particular doesn't have subtitles, then you can't really play the game. Not to mention that surely there will be people who seek a more casual assassin simulator. All these things can be fixed with a HUD-Less approach, but it would require a lot of new systems and assets, so it's understandable why HUD was brought in. That said, the design is really influenced in a different way when you know there's going to be a HUD. PC port of the game has several additional mission types. A couple of them work well without HUD. Archer assassinations, go to rooftop, use eagle vision and you know where your targets are, and escort missions. You follow the person you need to escort and protect. But another couple clearly don't take into account that HUD might be off. Market stall destructions, they're near the mission start but it's very hard to define which need to be destroyed, and rooftop races, where you need to go from one informant to another before time runs out. That second one is absolutely impossible without regularly looking at the city map of markers, because the target informant is located in an arbitrary spot in a different part of the city, and you have no idea which one. And it's incredibly evident in Assassin's Creed 2, where as soon as you go on your own and don't follow your brother, you have no idea where to go without HUD or map. You need to go to Christina? Great. Where is she? You need to go home. Yeah, where's that? A certain level of immersion is gone. That said, Assassin's Creed 2 and further titles did bring variety in what and how we do in the gameplay itself. I still miss the ability to comfortably play fully without the HUD. I mean, Even the little things like amount of throw knives, they're displayed on Altair himself, but in later games you can't look at the character and know how many throw knives you've got. The perfect solution for me would be fusion between styles of the first game and later games. The first game focused too much on designing a game in a way that you don't need to open any auxiliary instruments at all, which gets broken when you introduce those auxiliary instruments. The other games don't take into account that auxiliary instruments can be turned off, so you can't really have a full game experience without them. A mix, however, would be good. Let's say, for a quick example, we see the location where we need to go in Eagle Vision when we're on rooftops. Done. I go into Eagle Vision, look where Christina's house is, and go there. But then I'd actually want to keep Eagle Vision like it's in Assassin's Creed 1, active only when standing still, and not like it became in 2 where it was persistent while moving. Because these things, thinking about HUD-Less gameplay, they influence numerous design decisions in mechanics, world, missions, story, and writing even. But I think the result, in the end, would be something much more immersive. If you've played Assassin's Creed 1 before, but with HUD, I suggest you to try doing so with the HUD off. It's a totally different experience and I think it's very interesting. Thank you all for watching, feel free to leave any comments. If you'd like to keep an eye on my future videos or blog posts, feel free to subscribe or follow me on Twitter at Farlander1991. And if you'd like, consider supporting my work on Patreon. Thank you very much.